and welcome. It's episode number 38 of the Hilarious Humanitarians podcast. I am Frances Echeverria, licensed marriage and family therapist. Deanna Silverman out this week, but I do have a special guest that's going to be joining me today. Before we jump into that, I want to let you know that you can follow our podcast Instagram at Humanitarians Podcast on Instagram. You can also find Deanna under Hilarious Humanitarian and myself, Shut Up Skippy, there. If you're looking for websites, you can go to hilarioushumanitarian.com and shutupskippy.com. Today we're going to be talking to a friend of mine who, if you follow me on social media, you've seen a lot of. His smile is infectious. He laughs like a little girl, and his story is incredible. Going from a fat guy to a fit guy without surgery or gimmicks and changing lives along the way. So we're going to be talking to Lou in just a second. We'll also check in on some self-care activities and pushing our comfort zones in an effort to build resiliency, which is something that I challenge you to do every single week at home, and I do it myself too. Might there be belly dancing in the future? I don't know. But before we start, I want to ask you to subscribe and rate our podcast if you haven't done so already. Certainly appreciate it. And the weekly disclaimer that the Hilarious Humanitarians podcast is for informational purposes only, does not constitute medical advice, and is not a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, mental health professional, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. So to get started, I'm going to introduce you to Lou. Hi.
Hello.
All right, Lou. So first, as we get to know you, where can we find you on Instagram? Because I have a feeling people are going to be finding you online as we get started on this podcast.
Instagram, we go under Team Living Proof.
Okay.
Before that, I was under Living Proof Lou, but I recently
You changed it? Ooh, yes. You changed it. Okay, well, we'll talk about that coming up. So, Lou, before we get into our story and how we know each other, I had Johnny on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a little bit about stereotypes involving men and mental health and talking about emotions. How was that in your family of origin growing up? Did you guys talk about feelings?
No, not at all. We grew up in a traditional Mexican style family
which means what?
We didn't even talk about sex or anything like that. So yeah, it was more about the lines of figure it out or ask. But at the same time, my mom was pretty open. So if we had any questions and we had the nerve to ask her, I'm sure she would try to do it the best without shaming us. I suppose.
Okay. All right. Do you have open conversations now about feelings and emotions since your best friend is a therapist?
More than I'd like to.
See what I mean about that laugh? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. All right, Lou, how old are you?
I will be 47 this year in October.
47?
Yes.
47 years old. Now, you haven't always been Team Living Proof, though, right? We're gonna talk about your losing a whole human being.
Basically, yeah.
So, Lou, let's talk about how you and I met, because I was probably 18 years old and working at a hard rock radio station, and you were a bigger fellow who liked beer and food and concerts.
Yeah, most definitely. I was an avid listener. I was always trying to find a way to meet you for one reason.
And win things, too.
A little bit. I mean, not everybody got to win, signed autographed guitars by Godsmack. And
did you really win?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay. I can't remember. Some of my closest friends are listeners, so Lou has been one that has stuck around. So, but when I met you, you were a big guy. You didn't do a whole lot of physical anything.
The most walking I did was usually at the concerts I went to, and that's about it.
And throwing young folks around occasionally in the mosh pit, perhaps.
Yeah, more than a few, I would have to say. Yeah.
Okay, so at what point were you at your heaviest? And how old were you?
At my heaviest that I remember being was at 340 pounds.
And you're how tall?
I am 5'9".
Okay.
So
all right.
That was back in 2013, so I was 42, 43.
42, 43. And what ended up happening where you were like, nope, this ain't gonna work?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I was on my second day hungover from New Year's. And it was just to the point where I had gotten out of the shower, I looked in the mirror naked, and I said to myself, my exact words were, you've already lived half your life as a gordo, and in Spanish that means fat or big boy, whatever you want to say it. And I said, well, let's try to live our second half of our life just a little bit better. So that was the main thing. I was just going to take it one day at a time. I wasn't going to try anything drastic, and I knew that in order for the change to happen, that I had to change my eating habits, because if not, it wasn't going to work.
Had you tried to lose weight before?
I had tried multiple times of losing weight and trying like hydroxy cuts or with different diet tablets, or basically just going down the line of different things that I wanted to try, but it always reverted back to the same thing. I would lose a little bit of weight, and then before you knew it, I would be right back on track, eating hamburgers and from the drive-thrus and stuff like that. So I made a few guidelines when I started, and I tried my best to stick with them. And the first month that I did stick with it, I lost like 8 pounds without changing anything but my eating habits.
So no exercise or anything. Now I want to ask something, because we didn't really get a chance to talk about Johnny with this, but Deanna and I talk a lot about body image issues as women and some of the struggles that we have. Did you have body image issues? Did you feel self-conscious?
At times, but I'm a real outgoing person. Like, that part of me really hasn't changed, so...
You didn't let that get in the way.
I didn't.
You're one of the few.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me. And for those people that know me, even when I was big, they knew that I was always really outgoing, outspoken. I always had to be somewhat, I guess, the life of the party, the center of attention or whatnot, but yeah.
Do you think some of that was because you...
I was
like,
probably
you developed that?
Yeah, just to maybe deter people from the fact that I was a big boy, you know?
So to kind of take away from like possibilities, maybe teasing you or whatever, everybody loves you because you're the life of the party, fun guy.
Yeah. But regardless, I still got teased. Those are my friends.
Right. Okay. All right. So you decided you were just going to change some eating habits. I mean, what did you do? Because people ask me this kind of stuff all the time, and I don't have any professional training in terms of like nutrition, but I've been doing it so long for trying to get my life in order that I feel like I can, provide some non-clinical information to my friends or just people, not as a therapist, but like, what were some of the things that you did? Because you said, you didn't go on a crash diet.
I didn't change at first the amount of food that I was consuming, but more the quality of food.
Okay.
So I went to like simple things, like I started just doing egg whites in the morning, turkey bacon, turkey burgers, turkey this, turkey that, all the fruit I wanted to. And I made it, back then my dinners, basically I did like the upside down pyramid or the upside down triangle. So I ate really big breakfast.
Because you get up early.
Yeah, my morning starts at 4 o'clock in the morning,
okay,
regularly. So I'm eating breakfast by like 5:30. And really big breakfast, so that's where I'd get all my starches in, and all my starches and carbs early in the morning. I would save my one serving of bread or tortillas for my lunch, and dinners were basically just like meats and greens.
Okay, so really kind of taking a conscious effort in the kinds of meals you were having, and then also what time of day.
Correct.
Did you have any professional input on this, or were you just Googling stuff, or what?
No, actually, I think we all know when we're eating bad,
right?
And
the
that's
processed
the basic,
crap, the drive-through stuff.
Yeah, the first rule of thumb, the first thing I did, the first major change I made, no lie, and it was I basically stopped putting sugar and creamer in my coffee.
Okay.
So I figured it was 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 cups of coffee a day, times that by a week, times that by a month, times that by a year.
It all adds up.
And how much, in 1 year's time, how much sugar did you actually take out of your diet?
Right.
And it was little stuff like that. The other rule of thumb that I made was I wasn't going to eat anywhere that had a drive-through. So if a restaurant had a drive-through, I wasn't eating there.
Interesting. Isn't it interesting, the little things that we
and it
put
makes
into
a
place?
difference, because not only are you getting off you have that time to get off, find parking, walk to the restaurant.
Really think about it.
And think about what you're going to order. And even at that point, if you do decide to order like some fries with your chicken sandwich or whatever it is you got, you're getting that extra little bit, and I wouldn't mind parking far away. I still say that now when I hang out with my friend Renee, that we go and do Spartan races with our trifecta, or I'm sorry.
We'll get into that
later, but we're like, we can park wherever we want. We're Spartans. We don't have to park close, so that's the best part.
I love it when my kids sometimes I'll be like, we can walk a little. No, Mom, no. You know what though? There are times where I just want to be lazy. Like, do I really need to get up and go and get that right now, or can I just sit here a little longer?
I would always laugh at the fact when I would go to the gym, I would get mad because I couldn't find parking close to the damn gym door. But I'm like, I'm here to work out, and here I am complaining about not being able to find parking place.
Right now, so many people are going, oh, me too,
Yeah,
me
you
too.
know.
Okay, so you made some changes, and then when did you start incorporating the exercise in?
About a month in. About a month into it, I started going to the gym and just basically walking on the treadmill. I would walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes and I'd be done, you know, and that's it. I didn't really push it to the extent. I would still watch what I eat, and like in the second month with incorporating a little bit of exercise and still watching what I was eating, I had lost, I have a chart, I wish I would have found it, something like another 9 or 10 pounds in a month.
Okay.
So I was doing it every week. I was weighing myself every week on a Wednesday because I truly believe that nothing should start on a Monday, because Mondays are just right after the weekend. You don't want to do nothing. Everybody knows how Monday is. And so I did everything on a Wednesday. So my weigh-ins were every Wednesday. And it came to a point where I was consistently losing weight every week since January. And I think I hit my first plateau like somewhere in May. So then in May, I stopped weighing myself every week and started weighing myself every month.
Oh,
I
interesting.
felt like it would be like, I didn't want it to bring me down.
Right.
So then if I had a bad day or I had a bad week, I still had 3 more weeks to try to make it up.
Yeah, because your body will go through those changes.
Yeah, and at no time did I ever think that I was going to just continue on with it, but I can never forget the first time somebody actually looked at me and said, "Hey, you're losing weight. How much weight have you lost?" You know, and I was just like, "Oh, somebody finally noticed."
Right.
You know, and I think at that point I had already dropped like 30 or 40 pounds.
Okay, but at this point, from your high though, that's a lot of weight. But it's still, people may not be paying too much attention.
Well, I couldn't remember the last time I was under 300 pounds. That's probably like in high school.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Is, were you always a bigger guy?
Yeah, always. I think, as far as I can remember, I think I wear the same waist right now that I did in high school. Okay. So that's to tell you, back then I was 16, 17, wearing 38, 40, so I'm 40 right now. So when I remember when I broke 300, I actually that pushed me to the point where I'm like, okay, let's see how far we can
this
go.
is really happening.
Yeah, and
did you ever feel self-conscious at the gym? Because I get a lot of people all the time who tell me they want to get fit before they start working out.
Well, it's not that I didn't feel self-conscious. It's more the fact that I didn't know what to do. Right. Okay. And personal trainers at that time, we'll get into that later on as far as where I'm at now. Personal trainers at that time, they wanted your money.
Super expensive.
Especially if you ask them simple questions. They would beat around the bush and they would be like, oh, well, you can do this, you could try that, or you can, if you come to one of my seminars or my classes or whatnot, I can help you.
Right, and they do have training and they do have to make their money too, but you just weren't in a position for that.
Exactly, and my questions were simple, like, should I change it up? Should I stick to this? Because believe it or not, I was a treadmill dweller. That's all I did was the treadmill. Right. I remember the first time I jumped on the elliptical for like 5 minutes, I thought I was going to die.
I remember my first elliptical experience too.
That sucked. And then eventually I stopped getting on the treadmill and I started doing the elliptical. And I preferred the elliptical a lot more. It was a lot less lower. It was lower impact, and I felt I got a better workout out of it. And then I discovered running outside.
Which is stupid. I want to go on record right now on this podcast as saying running is stupid. I hate it. It's the worst. I still do it sometimes, but I hate it.
I remember the first time I ran around my neighborhood block without stopping, and it's probably like...
Is it one of your proudest moments?
Oh, yeah, I would have to say it was probably like less than, like 3/4 of a mile that I ran around my neighborhood block, and I was just like so pumped up that I did it. Right. And I remember saying to myself, wow, there's no stopping me now. and I remember hearing stories of people going, oh, you should run like a 5K. I'm like, 3 miles? You're insane. What are you talking about, 3 miles? There's no way in hell I could run 3 miles, let alone, I didn't even know what a 5K, 10K and all that was back then. I was I'm just happy that I made it around the block one time. Right.
Without dying.
Without dying, and it's little goals like that. I really, truly believed in little goals and not big goals, because at least if you failed at a little goal, you weren't so crushed. Right. And if you completed a little goal, well, then you moved on to the next little goal. And,
Well, and the thing is, we need positive reinforcement. Humans are just kind of wired. We want a reward system. So if you would have gotten into this and said, I will give myself something nice when I lose 120 pounds, like you would, you'd stick to it.
Yeah, no doubt, And not only that, but a lot, to backtrack a little bit, is when I started like making changes in what, to this day, I'm a huge beer drinker. We just got through talking about it before.
I know. I heard you're calling it off for a while.
I'm trying to quit drinking for a little while, but like I went from like regular beer to like light beer, and I took a bunch of crap from all my friends, about it. No, you're going to drink a little Sissy Lala beer. And I was just like, whatever, I'm still drinking beer, And at that point, I still wasn't making like huge progress. I was just attempting. I was just trying. But it's like everything else. Peer pressure comes no matter what your age is, and your friends are always going to give it to you. But you have to remember that they're doing it with the best intentions, just to try to, not to really throw you off your game. But to me, I felt like it made me stronger.
Okay, so you took it as a challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
I was having this conversation with a client today, and I've had this experience myself, and maybe you have too, where when you start to do positive changes for yourself, it's very interesting to see the reactions of those around you, because you will have those that are supportive and like, that's awesome, that's great. Show me how, like, how are you doing it? That kind of thing. There's also this segment that will, I don't think it's anything directly against you per se, but your progress shines a light on their lack of.
Yeah.
And holds up, I always use the phrase holds up a mirror. And it does. It holds up a mirror to the shit they're not getting right, or their own insecurities. And then so what can end up happening is you get a lot of pushback. Like, so let's say you're going to go to lunch and you're like, well, I'm trying to eat well, I'm not going to go to a drive-thru. Oh, well, it's not going to hurt you. Oh, let's have a cheat day, that kind of stuff. Or, oh, you can skip the gym.
I can relate because, okay, my compadre Mike, he's my best friend, and I remember him telling me one day, I see what you're doing and I see where you're going, and I'm going to let you know right now that I'm going to be right here for you if you need anything, but I'm going to back off.
What do you mean?
Well, because like all we ever did when we hung out was we drink and bullshit.
Okay.
And he felt like, he felt it because he'd like, hey, what are you doing? You want to come over and drink a beer? And I was like, oh, not today. I'm hitting this.
So he took it kind of personally. It hurt his feelings.
It didn't hurt. It didn't. He didn't. Oh. He took it personal, but he didn't. But he took it in a positive way.
Okay.
Because when he told me that, he's like, I see what you're doing, and I've seen the progress that you're making, and I just want you to know that I'm going to be right here. If you whenever you're ready to hang out and drink a beer or whatnot, but for then I'm just going to back off.
Okay.
And to this day, he's still my best friend.
Right.
Because he recognized what I was doing, and he basically just kind of like gave me my space to get to where I wanted to be.
He didn't get mad at you changing it up.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's a personal like high for me right there, and I remember stuff like that, and I remember the people that doubted me. And why, what are you going to get out of it? And, and at that point, I still didn't know what I was going to get out of it. I just knew that I had been given this opportunity to make a change in my life, and I was going to do the best that I could.
And really quick, you started at how old?
43. Okay.
I want to bring that up because a lot of times people have a hard time. You're doing math right now, aren't
42,
you?
42. I tried to count the years. Yeah.
I want to bring it up because I think a lot of times people think it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too whatever. And then we also have the tendency sometimes when we wait until later in life to make these huge changes to actually like integrate that new identity. So like, for instance, I'm thinking about, I was not athletic all the way until I was probably in my early 20s. And I started running and then going to the gym, and I hate running. Did I mention that? How much I hate running?
A little bit.
So anyway, I still struggle with like telling myself I'm not athletic, I'm not strong, I'm not coordinated. And then I'm like, well, Francis, you've done this, and this. So therefore, those old labels don't really apply. Do you get that when you start at 42?
I did, but the good thing, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but being not active for a good majority of your life, and then you decide to when you're older. I've heard a lot of people like ask me, did you play football when you were young or in school and this and that? And it was minimal to actually none. So like I didn't really suffer from a lot of like knee problems and stuff like that. So,
that's a good point. Yeah.
So,
You were saving it for your good years.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I also, what sucks is you need to learn, like, when you're injured, to take a break. And
right.
I got hurt. I hurt my my calf. We'll get into that later on.
He has little baby calves.
Anyway, I knew I shouldn't have brought that up, but it's too late now.
I was gonna let that slide. But you brought it up.
Well, anyway,
Time out. Because they need the backstory on this. I've always been very uncomfortable. Yeah, I bet you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have brought it up. I've always been very uncomfortable with the way my lower half is made, and I blame half of it on the fact that through my formidable years I rode horses, which I don't know, I might be full of shit, but I think it changed me structurally. But anyway, I have giant calves, which they're giant. And then Lou has...
They're not that big.
Lou has little bitty baby calves.
So anyway, where I was going with this was I had injured my left calf and
his little baby calf
didn't take enough time off to let it heal because I was too caught up in it, and I felt that I was gonna lose it.
You got scared.
I got scared because there's a lot of motivational quotes that I really stick in my head that try to keep me motivated throughout all of this, and one of them in particular is. If I quit now, it won't be long before I'm back where I started.
So, okay, you went overboard.
Yeah, and when I started...
I get the text message.
So desperately wanted to be where I'm at now.
Okay.
So I always got scared, and I pushed myself to the breaking point where I actually tore my calf muscle.
Okay.
And to this day, I still have that pimp walk because of it.
Is that what you call that?
That's my pimp walk, yeah.
Okay, so... I think that's actually that's a good place to go into this is sometimes when we totally flip our lifestyles upside down, when we suffer a setback, we don't know how to just roll with that. We think, oh my gosh, we're going straight back to the bad things. Like, so for instance, it could be, you're doing really well with a diet and exercise routine, or maybe, you're doing really well with setting boundaries and explaining to people that you can't treat me this way, or you're doing things really well at work and then you slip up and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, and we get scared.
We get panicked, yeah.
Right, but with our bodies, it's a little more, I guess, concrete when we have to take care of it. But, in the struggle with we'll talk about this coming up with some of the eating habits slipping back or this or that, it can be hard. But I think what I always remember is a saying that somebody taught me from recovery when I worked at an inpatient facility for women, and it's progress, not perfection. If you keep moving in the general right direction, sometimes you're going to take a couple of steps back, and actually you can learn more from those steps.
And it's happened, yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example of that being said. Take for instance on the weeks and stuff like that I didn't lose any weight. I would get frustrated and I'd get mad and I would think back to the point, what did I do different? What did I do wrong? And how can I change it?
Right.
So it's just, it's difficult when you're going through all this, and let me tell you, it's an emotional roller coaster all the way through.
How so?
Just the ups and downs of it all together. Like, you try to stay consistent, you try to eat right, and I went from...
Because you didn't do any fad stuff. No. You didn't do any crazy cutting out all your carbs or
small
juicing
changes. Small changes. So I went
no surgery.
I went from eating. I used to love to stop at McDonald's and get an ice cream. So then that changed from McDonald's ice cream to frozen yogurt.
Okay.
And it's small changes like that, and it's adjusting. I've opened up my taste buds to so many different foods that I never ate before. That now,
what are some things that you eat regularly that surprise the hell out of you?
A lot of greens.
You're like vegetables.
Yeah, a lot of vegetables. You've come over when I cooked or just recently. A lot of vegetables, a lot of new stuff like trying butternut squash and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and a lot more fish now and. A lot less tacos, unfortunately. That's the sad part.
Just to clarify, tacos can be healthy.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you a story about something about changes, okay? So, educating yourself as far as, I turned into, a huge calorie counter. And I realized that each tortilla was 100 calories, And that's without it being dipped in grease. And
okay, yeah, because I just like them warm and corn.
So you got to figure, you go to the taco truck and they're putting 2 tortillas on each taco. You're ordering 4 tacos. You got 800 calories in tortillas.
Why you gotta ruin my tacos?
Alone, 800 calories. You should see the look on the damn taco truck drivers when I would tell them in Spanish. And I'm going to tell them I'm going to tell you guys just like I told them. I'd be like, me das 4 tacos de asada con todo menos los tortillas. So I'm ordering 4 tacos of carne asada with everything without the tortillas.
How do they even...
They would look at me and be like, what?
Did you just put it in a bowl?
And I said, just put it on a plate. And then, everything that you usually put on the tacos, so I met like
a salad.
A taco salad. And with the sauce. And then they're tripping out because they don't know how to measure it. Because they're used to just filling the tortillas, so that I'm getting an abundance. So I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the hookup, And I've already cut out 800 calories out of that alone,
Right, and the protein's what's good for you.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The tacos are sweet, sweet love too. The tortillas, but dang, man, it's a lot. And those are the things that I had struggles with, But I try to find a way to improvise it. And that goes in hand with everything that you do when you're trying to make a lifestyle change. Like if you can't do a certain exercise, you improvise it to try to do it a different way. And it's the same thing with eating. You have to try to change it. And it's not something that comes easy. It's a struggle
it sucks.
Every fucking day. And I still struggle with it to this day. And it's ups and downs. And now that I'm getting older, I'll be 47 this year. I feel like maybe my metabolism is changing. I'm not burning calories as fast as I used to because my uniforms are starting to fit me a little tight. And if you didn't hear that clearly, good.
He said his uniforms are getting tight.
But, my exercise regimen stayed the same. I still kill it anywhere between 4 and 6 days a week. We're running these races. We'll get into, I guess, my classes and how I've done all that later on. But, dedication, consistency, and especially perseverance is a huge, huge part of it.
And I know there's people right now going, ugh.
And I was one of those people. I was for the longest, till this day still. When people are like, hey, you gotta go work, I'm like, oh. And that's one thing that I'm very thankful for of my team, because they're the ones that hold me accountable. Because I'm holding classes every day, and if I don't hold class, then that means I'm letting down anywhere from 12 to 20 people a day.
So it's accountability.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about when you're doing lifestyle changes, having accountability. So we talked about little milestones, like being able to run around the block. What were some other little milestones in this journey of getting healthier? Because I know you fluctuated in weight, but I think it's safe to say you've lost 120 pounds.
At the most, I lost 132 pounds.
Okay.
So when I was on this road, I had no idea that I was going to even lose that much weight. And I was about a month out, and it just so happened that the last weigh-in for the year of 2013 when I started this fell on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And I was 4 pounds away.
From what?
From losing exactly 100 pounds.
Holy crap. So just all these little changes.
Yeah, I had already lost 96 pounds, and it was November. And I was like...
Right around Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, that was the shitty part, too. So all I needed to lose was it was either 4 or 6 pounds, I can't remember, and I had a month to do it. And I was just like... And it just seemed like right then, everything looked like I craved everything.
Right.
And it was the hardest month
it's Christmas.
Ever. Well, it was Thanksgiving into Christmas.
Yeah.
So, and plus for us Mexicans, it was tamale season.
Yeah. Let's get real on that.
So it was difficult, and I really struggled in that month, and I avoided the scale like it was just like a bully down the street. I didn't even go near it, and I would flip it off every time I walked by it. And I did really good. And on Christmas morning, I was so paranoid.
Were you scared? I'm nervous for you right now. I don't even know how the story is.
I was so paranoid to get on that scale. I remember I got up. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. At that point, I was probably already running 2 or 3 miles, no problem. And I pushed myself. I fell in love with boot camp classes, and I started doing a lot of just basic boot camp stuff, especially burpees, and Skip knows how much we love burpees.
You're stupid.
And
just as stupid as
I'll never forget it. My neighbors' families were coming over, to their houses, and here is this guy running up and down the fucking block with a punching bag on his back.
Because you were trying to do weighted runs?
Because I just wanted to burn as many calories as possible. And I'll never forget it. I fucking said, okay, I worked out for like an hour straight, and I went to go take a shower, and I walked outside, and I remember telling the scale, no matter what you say, I don't care, I've come this far.
Okay.
And I jumped on it, and I was at 238 pounds. I had lost 6 pounds. So I had lost 102 pounds in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I was so ecstatic. I was so happy. I celebrated it with the right people. That Christmas, it just so happens that my parents came over, my brother and we had a big old get together, and I ate every fucking thing that was there. I didn't give a shit. I ate tamales. I ate candy.
I think you were allowed.
I'll never forget it either, too. At the end of that day, and I drank so much beer there, I was just so happy. It was a total celebration. It was like the ultimate cheat day.
Yeah.
Basically is what it was. And I never forgot it either. I went back on the scale at the end of the day, and I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but I was like back up like 4 or 5 pounds. I was like, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
It doesn't count. It counts this morning.
Yeah. So I remember I took pictures of the scale and everything, just so I could hold myself. And it was a really great feeling. And then from there, it didn't take much. At the most, I lost 132 pounds at the most. So I got down pretty low, down to like 210. And I never broke 200, which is pretty cool. I was happy with that. I really got into a lot of weight training and stuff, and I've had a lot of dedicated and supportive people on my side, yourself included. And I'm doing things that I never in a million years would have ever thought that I would have been doing, including running my very first half marathon with your ass.
I know. Okay, so we want to talk about long distance stuff coming up, but how have things changed for you? Because you said the boot camp stuff. And as we jump into that, I want to be clear, like, there have been a lot of changes in the way that exercise science has worked, and now it's really becoming more and more evident that resistance training, even if it's with body weight, is what leads to optimal muscle development and health. We need to make ourselves stronger, not just the nonstop cardio.
Yeah, no, definitely. Body endurance. Endurance has a lot to do with what we do, and a lot of body weight exercises you can get just as good of a workout doing body weight exercises than you can in the gym lifting weights, but it all depends what goals you're shooting after.
Okay.
So like with me, I was going to the local gym, and I was taking their boot camp classes, and at first I thought I was going to die. I didn't know what a burpee was at all. There's a few of us that probably still don't know what a burpee is.
You know what? Your life is fine without knowing what a burpee is, actually. So
yeah. But once you get hooked...
no, you won't.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I started taking these classes, and I was doing them with my daughter for a little bit, and then I met a trainer, and she was awesome. She showed me a lot. I'll give her props to this day, and I followed her. She started her own boot camp class afterwards outside of the gym, and I kept going, and we had an agreement worked out where she could use my pictures and stuff like that to promote her her classes, and I would go for free, and I learned a lot. And unfortunately, with time going on, we had a falling out, unfortunately, and I just kept going. I didn't even think at that time where I would be where I'm at right now. And I just started gathering a couple of friends, and working out with them. You included. Like, I would come to Fresno one week, and you would go to Madera the next week, and we would do circuits.
Piecing together stuff.
Just trying to keep motivated. Just trying to keep
the
active. Accountability
stuff,
exactly,
right? And never along the way was it something. I mean, you've been very honest that this has just been your journey.
Yes.
And so you talk about your team. Tell me about your team.
Team Living Proof. I have a friend, Tom, who you know him as Bacon. Because when you met him, he had a strip of bacon in his hand.
Yeah, we were getting ready to go to an Aftershock concert. And I'm terrible with names, Lou. You're lucky I remember yours, because they go in one ear and out the other, but he was holding bacon, so bacon.
So Tom was telling me, I was trying to come up with a better name. I remember for a little while there, because I was always known as Big Lou. And I remember for a little while there on Instagram, I went under regular size Lou.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I need something different. I need something. And he's the one.
That's all we called you for all of those years when you worked with the radio station when I worked
still,
there.
to this day, all my old friends still call me Big Lou. It doesn't make
you're
a
not
bit of
big
difference.
anymore.
So he's like, you need something that shows who you are and how far you've come. And I remember him saying, he's like, you're living proof. That's exactly what you are. You're living proof of what you become.
What hard work is.
Yeah, and from there on in, it was living proof Lou, and it stuck with it. So what I did was I started just inviting friends. You know, I had my friend Patty. She's the one who actually really kind of got it started, along with my friend Tom. And she wanted help because she had signed up. She kind of got duped into her first half marathon. Sound familiar?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
She's like, and I told her, I said, well, I can help you train for it. And I go, and on the same time, you know, it'll help me stay active and motivated. So she would come over and we would go run, you know, and we would run probably once or twice a week. And then I was like, well, shoot, man, I you know, I've learned all of this. You know, and I always told myself that I wasn't going to be like one of the trainers in the gym. That if people wanted to learn, I was gonna help. I was gonna show them. That's just my way of paying it forward. You know, so little bit at a time, I accumulated more and more friends, and none of them were from past groups that I had been part of.
Right.
These were all fresh new people that were just wanting to make a difference in their lives, and one way or another, you know, more and more people, you know, would come and, hey, I have a friend, and hey, I have a friend, and
let's be honest, this is what I love about your story of Team Living Proof. These aren't people that were in the gym working out. This was just like normal people.
Yeah, exactly. They're and I, you know, we would play games, and I would make it fun, and I'd change it continuously, because if it was the same thing, if you came over and all we did was burpees every day, you're not going to want to come over anymore.
Right.
So I always changed the workouts out. I would, Pinterest was my best friend for the longest time. No lie.
Right.
And I would find a grip of different workouts, and I would combine workouts to make a game and do this or do that. And at the same time, you're having fun, but you're burning calories, you're killing yourself, and you don't realize it. And the best part about working out with the team is you're more successful. You'll have a higher success rate of succeeding and continuing on path if you have teammates to work with than be by yourself. Because, you know, we do a thing in my team in order to earn your blue shirt. We do a segment called Death by Burpees, and
which is stupid.
You have to do 1 hour of burpees at your own pace. And you have to continuously do them for an hour. And once you do that, then
it's an initiation. It's a hazing.
Basically.
Right.
And you earn your blue shirt. And to be part of our team. And there's a lot of blue shirts out there. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people that have come, stuck with me for a while, and left. And I'm okay with it.
Right.
You know, I've never had to kick anyone out of my team. I've never had to ask someone to leave because they're just being rude or whatnot. Because because of the group I was part of beforehand had drama going on. I am a complete and total no drama zone.
Okay.
So if I even suspect it, that's the best part about my team is it's by invite only. You're not privileged to come in. I text 20 some odd people individually every day, and these are the people that have been part of my team for over 2 years, and invite them out to work out every day.
Why does your team matter? Because there could be people listening right now, because, you know, people I think are always looking for connection, right? And they're going, wait a second, like, he doesn't charge anybody, and he makes them do death by burpees to join the team. Why does it matter to you, and why does it matter to your team, to these people, you think?
Dedication goes a long way, and a lot of it is commitment. Because if I charge them, I don't think I would stay so committed to it. I think I would be like, okay, you don't want to come, fine, whatever, I have your money, what do I care? But it's not about money. It's about making a change in lives, and they're not even a team anymore. We're a family. You know, we've come a very long way, and it means a lot to me because it holds me accountable. Like I said before, believe it or not, I've told them a million times that there are a lot of my thought. Like when I get up first thing in the morning, I'm already like, okay, like we already have our segments. So like Monday's cardio, Tuesday's booty, Wednesday's abs, Thursday's strength, Friday's team night, we'll play games. So whatever that day is, I'm already thinking of how I'm going to torture them.
You are a little bit of a sadist.
Just a little bit, you know, but it's in a good way. And, you know, if you can't make it, and I hold them accountable. Like I said, they don't pay. But if you tell me you're going to come and then you commit and I put you down and then you cancel on me there's a penalty to pay, you know. And usually, or if I text you and you don't respond to my text message, and class has started, there's a double penalty to pay. You know, and I've had
so there's accountability and connection, which I think two things that people are missing now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes, most definitely. You know, and a lot of these penalties used to have to do with just burpees, and it's gotten to the point now with my team that I can't even scare them with burpees.
Now you got to come up with something new.
So now we're doing like, you know, I'll make them do like frog leap burpees or 8-count bodybuilders. And I've learned so much, and I mean so much different ways just to work out. And, you know, we like when I say we built a family, I mean we've built a family. You know, we do team bonding nights where we'll all go out to the park. Everyone will bring your families out.
And you have like husbands and wives. You have moms and kids.
Yes, I have brothers and sisters. I have, you know, sister-in-laws and cousins, and it's and everybody knows each other. That's the only way you can really. I mean, it's very rare that I let somebody just walk in off the street,
right?
Because, you know, for a majority of the week, we're at my house, and I have to be careful of who I invite to my house. So you
just do this in your front yard.
Yeah.
You went from Big Lou, literally Big Lou, to the guy now who's doing some sort of weird team drill boot camp on your street every day for free.
So it is, and it's awesome because I even have some of my neighbors out there, so no one can even complain. And I always tell my teammates would be like, "Your neighbors don't ever trip," and I'll be like, "Well, they can have a choice. They can have a bunch of people out here working out, doing something positive, or they can have a bunch of people out here drinking and being loud and being obnoxious." I go, "The choice is actually theirs." I go, "We're actually doing positive things." Like my neighbor to this day, like my team knows not to park like right in front of his house. So when he comes home from work, he's got his parking space.
Right, so he has to respect.
And he loves it. You know, he'll look at me every time and give me the thumbs up when he walks in, and I'm just like, you know, and that's what it's all about. You know, if you don't cross those boundaries and those lines, and you have to make your neighbors go out of the way because you guys are doing friggin' bear crawls down the middle of the street, you know,
which happens.
That's for damn sure. You know, it's a really good thing.
I think right now is a good time to talk about some of these long distance things you and I have done together. But I did want to bring up when we were talking about how important your team was, where I've seen it just be absolutely amazing is when we've signed up for things like these Spartan races together. We did Tahoe last year, and how many members of your team signed up for Tahoe?
For Tahoe for the Beast, I think we had a total of 18 of us that traveled down.
18 people from primarily Madera, which is a small little town just north of Fresno in Central California, if you're listening and you're not in the area. People who never, ever, 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 ever would have done this. And Tahoe is the world championship Spartan course. It is next to Big Bear, which we did recently. I mean, it is the hardest course. It is the longest course.
Definitely.
It was 16 and a half miles, I think.
We call 17.
Yeah, up and down those mountains of the ski resort. And you had all these people go. And I thought what was great was it kind of split into two groups. With the faster people kind of going together, and then the other part. But these were big groups that crossed the finish line together.
Correct.
And I thought, and I'm kind of like an honorary member of Team Living Proof, but I just thought that was really amazing, the support, and so to do something that big together.
It was really good. I mean, it felt amazing, and just to know, you know, that. You know, a year ago, these people weren't even doing much.
They weren't thinking about this.
Yeah, not at all. You know, we did 3 Spartan races last year as a team, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of organization.
It takes money.
It takes money. Well, but not only that, but it takes patience. You know, because I'm trying to motivate people, and I'm trying to get them to go, because I just figure that I want to push them to their point. And I always tell them that they have to step outside
the comfort zone, yeah, which is
that's
what we're
where all the
talking
magic happens, you know. And it's a corny saying, but it's the truth. And you never know what you're capable of doing until you have that certain someone there to push you,
right?
You know, and I'm not the one in the fast group. Let me tell you that much. I'm the one behind. If anything, sometimes they're waiting for me. And like my friend Mauda and Patty, my teammates, they waited for me in Tahoe because I was cramping up so bad on mile 12. By the way, if any of you have done Tahoe Spartan, you'll know when I say fuck mile 12
yes.
that I could only do like 20 steps at a time before I'd cramp up again. And no amount of mustard, and if you don't know about mustard, you'll learn, or salt tabs or anything that was helping with cramps, at that point was helping anymore. My body was just fatigued. I was done.
And you still had 4.5 miles to go.
I still had 4.5 miles to go. And they stuck with me. They would take turns walking with me. And they would wait patiently for me until we finally reached the top, and it was all downhill from there. And then we waited for somebody else because my buddy Paul had blew his knee out.
Right.
And he didn't want to give up. So he had no problems climbing uphill, but he couldn't climb downhill. It hurt him too much. So then we were waiting for him. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand, you know. And the point I was trying to make, it was a fantastic feeling. And I crossed that finish line, and I lost it. I broke down, and I cried like a newborn baby. It was just so overwhelming, not only to the point because I finished the race and I did something that I never thought I would ever complete in my life, but to the point that everyone else was crossing that finish line. And the praise that I got from people, or, you know, just the thanks and the pats on the back for pushing them, it's a spectacular feeling.
Right. I think, too, Johnny mentioned when he was on with me a few weeks ago, we did an episode and I called it Iron Sharpens Iron, because he was talking about him and his wife, because they are like a power couple. But I think that goes hand in hand with your team. Iron sharpens iron. Everybody is there to make everyone else better. And what I think about these long distance events that are really important, whether they're the Spartan race, we do a lot of Spartan races. You can Google them. They're fun events, fun in a different kind of fun way. But then we also did the half marathon, the Beat the Blurch one, where they had cake and couches along the way.
That was awesome. That was my very first one.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good comic kind of strip deal, look up the oatmeal, because it's fantastic. He does a whole bit on why he runs, and it's basically to outrun his inner fat kid. But anyway, we did that on like no notice. I'm looking at my fridge actually, and I see the sticker up there. Those events, or even I just did Mount Whitney, and it tests your mettle. It sees if you've got what it takes. And I don't know about you, but if there's one thing I've learned, I'm not going to quit. Like Mount Whitney, dude, they'll have to be an episode on this. Mount Whitney was the single hardest thing I've ever done. We started at 2 a.m. It took 9 hours to get up there. The last 4 hours, we covered 4 miles. Now, I consider myself pretty fit. When we do our stuff, I tend
Billy
to get...
Goat status is what Skip's chasing after here.
I had to humble myself to be like, all right, well, my hiking partner is better at this than me. And it was, but nowhere in it did I go, nope, I can't do this. Nowhere. But you know what? Me 5 years ago never would have even tried.
Yeah. A week after we did Big Bear, my friend Renee and I, we went and we got invited to go hike Half Dome.
Which you have to have a permit for if you're listening. Yeah, that's in Yosemite.
That's in Yosemite. Never done it before. Totally underestimated that.
Yeah, you guys pulled some rookie moves.
And let me tell you, though, you want to talk about what you get in life, or what should I say, you remember that whatever you give in life, you will return.
Yeah.
So I consider myself a pretty good person. And it surely was paid back on that day, because we went up there with definitely not enough water.
Totally unprepared.
Not enough food, which, I mean, was fine. We could have survived off that. But the water was just like... We made it to the top of Half Dome. Well, the last mile before we got to the cables was probably the hardest for my friend Renee. And I couldn't push her no further. She had to do it on her own. So all I did was tell her, well, we didn't come this far to come this far. I go, we're going to make it to the top.
Right.
So I would just climb ahead and sit down and just wait for her to literally bear crawl up the side of that mountain.
It's called, if you've ever done it, it's the giant staircase, I think is what they call it, and it is miserable.
She decided to tell me right there before we started climbing that she had a fear of heights, and she was there to overcome it. So that was awesome. But needless to say, we made it to the top. And by the time we got to the top, it took us about 8 hours, I think, to get to the top, and that was 9 miles. And it was good and it was bad, because we enjoyed the view. We probably hung up there for like a half hour or so. And on the way back down, I was just drawn to this group of young kids. And I told them, I said, I'm sorry. I go, I hate to bother you guys. I go, but do you guys possibly have any extra water? And more than willing to give.
Right,
it was unbelievable. And that's when I found out about that Sawyer system, that you had, that water filtration system.
You did.
And let me tell you, the water from that river, when they filled up our bags, because they did it for us twice, and that still wasn't enough water, by the way. So we definitely
rookie moves. I was so mad at you when I found out afterwards.
But man, I had never tasted water so damn delicious than I did that day, boy, let me tell you. But what took us 8 or 9 hours to get to the top, we hoofed it, man. I remember I told her, I said, how you feeling? You doing okay? And she's like, yeah. I go, your knees aren't hurting? No, she goes, no, I feel pretty good. I said, cool, we're running from here. Because we hit the John Muir Trail, and it's a lot wider, and we ran down. It only took us like 4 hours to get down.
See, I was hoping for the same thing after Mount Whitney because it took us 9 hours to get up, and I was kind of banking on that, but that trail is not cut out for that. So it took us 7 hours to get down, so it was miserable. But here's look, whether you're going to go and hike a mountain, or you're going to go and do a Spartan race, or you're going to sign up for a 5K, or anything in between, you will appreciate the little things like a post-race meal, a good stretch, your body's ability to get through something. You'll appreciate water that's been filtered properly from the river.
Yeah,
you will appreciate a bed, even if it's not your own, a shower.
You'll appreciate Doritos and Pacifico beer. Hey, that was our congratulatory after we made it down from that mountain.
Well, our thing is every time we've done a Spartan race, I want In-N-Out.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know is a drive-through.
Yeah, but at this point, we're just like, we just came off of like a 15-mile race. So we're doing a Spartan weekend, so that's always a plus.
So my challenge to people listening is when I say this, and we'll get into this part when we always wrap up the podcast about how you've pushed your comfort zone, is to think about it, because one, that's where the growth happens. That's where the magic happens. But then also you will appreciate everything from your body and how amazing it is that it can pull it off, to the people around you, to the fact that, there's something green and beautiful growing out of the side of a mountain where the tree line ended thousands of feet below that elevation. And so it's something just to kind of think about that. But as we're wrapping up, Lou, I don't want to like douse the fire that we've lit here, but the struggle is real and it's not over. You have stuff you still have to overcome.
I do. I really do. I really am dealing with a lot in my personal life right now. So I am like just trying to get back on track. I've been trying to get back to basics and stay consistent and continue to try different things with my team.
So changing up the workout.
Changing up the workouts is a big thing, but doing different styles of workouts. I stepped out of my comfort zone last year, and I got hooked on these programs. A guy down in Southern California named Victor Carrillo, he does Machete Madnesses, and what they are is they're recons. They're 4-hour and 12-hour recons. They're like rucks. We go out there and we will work out for straight 4 hours, usually on the beach or at the lake or in a gym. Or we will go out and do a 12-hour ruck, and we're carrying a log or a sandbag. Or this last one that we just did right here in Madeira, we did a 12-hour ruck, and the gear list consisted of 3 sandbags, a 2.5-gallon water jug filled with water, and all your essentials that you need. Oh, and 2 bricks. So you're carrying that around all night long.
And why?
Just to push yourself to the limits.
Right, just to
see if you can do it. And I was very honored to be a coach at this last one and not have to participate. But even then, just being a coach, I know the struggle, and I'm not a 160-pound fit guy who's had 2% body fat my whole life. Not that I'm there right now. But what I'm trying to say is I know the struggle, so when I see people struggle, I can relate to them.
Right.
And them knowing my story, they can relate back to know that, okay, well, if he can do it, so can I.
Right.
So those are some of the things. And I've actually done I've done like 3 or 4 events that you've actually taken a part of on my own. And I continue to do everything for free. And I do it for free because the payment in Smile when somebody finishes that, or when someone comes up to me and says, hey, Lou, I did it. I did my first Spartan race or something like that.
Right.
That's more valuable than any dollar amount, I think.
And it creates community, I think, and purpose. And I think so much of the time, sometimes we trade purpose for a paycheck.
Yes.
Routine is part of life, and that can get a little old. And so we need to find those things and ways to push ourselves. What I do like, I wanted to say about the machete stuff, is I see a broader representation of different cultural backgrounds that are becoming part of it. Because sometimes we do, let's be real, I've done a ton of marathons, half marathons, the Spartans, and sometimes it's a little, I don't know, it lacks the diversity. But I've seen that change, and I like that.
And it's a great feeling, and to see a lot more, I guess, so to speak, like more of the Hispanic community getting into what we do out there.
Right.
And to think that you have these guys that are, no lie, there's a lot of them that they're working in the fields and they're out there doing Spartan races and they're podiuming. They're on the podium.
Right.
They're getting like first place, second place, third place guys, and they're kicking ass, And
I think it's just a change in the dynamic, in appreciation for health and pushing ourselves for finding community. And I don't know, I've noticed that lately. I pay attention to that stuff given like my background in mental health, and I just like it. I like when it becomes accessible to more people, and I think you've allowed that to be something.
I do, and I like it, and I've noticed that you've mentioned it to me a couple times, especially when we're volunteering at Spartan races, and you see the Machete fam come up, and 90% of them are speaking Spanish to me, and I still think you get a kick out of it when you hear me speaking Spanish because I look as white as the guy.
Yeah, you know what? I should have started with a description because I did that with Johnny when he did the thing. Lou has a shaved bald head and more tattoos than I can count. You look like you might have done some time.
I did time, all right. I finally got paroled after 23 years. I'll tell you that much.
Not really.
That was an inside joke, but... she got it. Look at it.
It took me a minute.
Yeah.
So I just think, though, that I think that it's fun. I think that it changes people's perceptions. I think that, they say that 30 minutes of exercise most days of the week is what you need to feel good. The doctor I work for, the psychiatrist, swears by that's the way that you basically clear out the waste to the brain matter that's going to clog up, your brain. And we need to be doing that stuff. And I think it's really great that you've been able to do this. So what's the next goal?
Next goal, actually, we're on our way to completing it. So we have our team trike this year because I couldn't get a lot of my teammates to sign up, but I do have a handful of them that will complete a Spartan trifecta this year. But the goal for the year actually was to do a double trifecta, but then I hang out with people like y'all, and we're on our way to doing a triple trifecta. So that is 9 Spartan races, and for some stupid reason or another, the last 2 races that we have scheduled are the biggest of them all.
Right, well, it's just timing.
Yeah.
And we threw in one more just to make it an even 10.
Oh, that's going to be a special one for me because I actually got my daughter and her boyfriend to do it, so that one's really going to mean a lot to me. That one's going to be at San Francisco.
And how old's your daughter?
She just turned 18, and that's my baby.
And can you imagine the years you've given her in your life by changing things?
Exactly. It's a wonderful thing. And not only that, but I've motivated her too to want to do, this. She actually came out and volunteered with us, and she had a really good time, and she's earned her free race, and that's a lot of what we've done this year. I don't think we've only paid for like 2 races this year, if that.
Yeah.
So it's great. So that's the next goal. I'm hoping to at least complete 2 more half marathons this year, and before I turn 50, I would like to complete a full marathon, if not a 50K, so 30
I think you should finish an Ultra Beast before you turn 50, mostly because I want to do an Ultra Beast, and I know I can't do one by myself.
Yeah, but we ain't doing it in Tahoe.
No, we're not doing it in Tahoe. We're not. All right, so one of the things I like to wrap up with, I think you just covered all the ways you're going to push your comfort zone, that's for sure. But what does your self-care look like? Like, what do you do to take care of yourself emotionally and physically? I mean, other than the working out is a big part of it.
Definitely. I'm blessed. I have a lot of people I can vent to when I have issues. I have my team that 100% has proven to me time and time again that they have my back in more ways than one, and that's a great feeling. Don't be afraid to speak your mind, but just make sure you're mindful of your surroundings and who you're talking to and how you're talking to them.
Find good people.
Exactly. And like I said, I'm fortunate. I have you. I have...
yeah, you're lucky to have me.
Yeah, definitely. I just... You know what's good for you. You know. And if you don't know, educate yourself. It's not hard to. You have the world at your fingertips, basically, on your phone. And take the time to find out if you want changes in your life made, make them small goals. And because an accumulation of small goals equals up to a beautiful thing.
Right.
You know?
All right. So as we wrap up, we want to make sure that you rate and subscribe to our podcast. Look for the Hilarious Humanitarians podcast. Tell people about it. Where can we find you online?
Living Proof Lou.
No, it's Team Living Proof.
Team Living Proof now.
On Instagram.
And I do a lot of my workouts and stuff on Snapchat too. And I'm on Living Proof Lou on Snapchat.
Okay. And you can find Deanna, who's not here, Hilarious Humanitarian on Instagram, also the H Humanitarians podcast on Instagram. She has her website, hilarioushumanitarian.com. I am Frances Echeverria, but go by Skippy on some platforms. You can look for Shut Up Skippy on Instagram, Snapchat, and also on Twitter, and lastly, shutupskippy.com. So thank you for listening today. Please give us a follow, spread the word, and we'll be back next week. Bye.
Peace.